Right here, I'm still not done with this, but the point is, this is the Bill and Bancroft, so it would be, this is a bus stop. It's near the intersection, and the point of having this bus stop here and this bike lane here is that there's something called a shared track shared track cycle stop, in which uh yeah, I'll show you this. It's basically having a bike lane. It's like raising the bike lane a little bit, so then you can, like, this is a ramp and you raise the bike lane a little bit, so then the pedestrians or the passengers can go on the bike lane and board the bus there. So when passengers are boarding, the buses, not the, bus, the bikes would have to give to the passengers, and when the passengers are done boarding, the bikes can go on their way.
Okay, so the bus would actually block traffic
Yeah.
while people are getting on and off, correct?
Yes. But the bus stops would only be like 1 to 2 minutes, so we don't think the bus would block that much traffic.
It's 1 to 2 minutes if it's a able-bodied person getting on board. But if it's a disabled person getting on board, then you're talking about the bus dropping down.
Mm-hmm.
The ramp, there's a ramp that comes out.
Yeah.
And then a wheelchair getting on, and then the ramp going back, and the bus lifting up again. It's like 5-minute process.
Yeah.
So I think the timing is a little out from what you're suggesting. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, I gotta say.
All right. The bus stops are basically the same thing for the one on Warren. This one is near Warren. So basically, uh, I was thinking of putting a ramp here, but I'm not done with it yet. And the same thing for the high school. So this this would be the drive lane. This would be the bike lane, and there would be like a ramp over here, and
Okay.
same thing for over here. Actually, this one wouldn't be touched, but this would just be like a bike lane and shared shared cycle track stop.
Just a quick question because I'm sure you have experience with this, but how do buses like normally work in that specific area? Have you seen them? Like, what do they do now? Do they like you kind of merge with like the bike lane or the parking lane, or do they just stop in the middle of the street?
Um,
They
it
would
really
they
depends because it's dependent on the size of the bus. So where you've got an extended length bus, i.e. it's the bus and it's got a piece which kind of twizzles on the end of it, then they'll try and pull the majority of the bus in, but that piece at the end usually sticks out and blocks traffic. If it's a standard one-piece bus, they'll try to pull in, but if there's a parked car in the way, which unfortunately there is quite a bit of the time, then they will block traffic a little bit, but not sufficient to stop people from getting past. If you're using one of the smaller buses, then it's not a problem. Yeah, I see all sorts of problems with this. I have I've seen I don't know if you've looked at Alameda and what they've done in Alameda, where they've put the cycleway next to the pedestrian crossing. So you'll have a pedestrian walkway, cycleway, parking, and then actual motion traffic.
Okay.
So that's actually quite a good solution if you want to extend the cycling within the area, because that way the parked car provides safety for the cyclist.
We were actually kind of thinking of that too, because we did see what other cities have been doing. And so the thing about that kind of design is that actually there were complaints about kind of like we have like this website which you know where the survey is at, and then people would put like their kind of complaints or like discussion board on a discussion board there, and someone mentioned about how if you live on the houses where they're facing the street and you're trying to leave your driveway, if there are parked cars like in after the bike lane, then it would be they would kind of block the ongoing traffic coming out, and then it would be kind of unsafe and hard to know when you should leave your driveway because you can't really see what's going on in the drive lanes. So that was something that we were kind of thinking of while we were going into this design.
That's a fair argument. It's a very fair argument. Have you taken into consideration the number of vehicles in the area when the schools are emptying?
Yeah, actually, like there was kind of like we were supposed to go look when schools were opening, but we haven't really had the time yet. But the thing, like during the school, we have to consider like the speed limit kind of changes also. It like reduces, so the traffic in that area will definitely kind of the traffic flow will definitely like be slower, and then also obviously more people are going to be coming and going. So but then the thing is like during that segment right in front of the school, there is only like 2 lanes already there, so I think that that wouldn't be that much of an issue. But if we're talking about like leaving that kind of section and moving more forward or backward on Bancroft, I feel like our design is kind of like it doesn't really impact people leaving the school because it well it does because the drive lane, I mean the center lane isn't there, but in the other aspects like parking, it doesn't really like take out anything from that experience. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I think you really need to have a look at what happens when when students are arriving, and particularly when the school closes, because there are a lot, I mean, a huge number of parents that insist on picking up their kids. And so they're inching along because they want their child to be able to get into the car. So they'll inch along, see their child, stop, let the child in, and then continue on. So having,
Quick
I
question.
understand your incentive to try and get those bike lanes there, but during school hours, well, the end of school particularly, and the beginning of school, you really need to resolve what's going on with how those students are getting in and out of the school. Now, if the cycleways are meant to encourage students to travel by themselves in and out of the area, that would be a major improvement. But you'd need to get the parents on board to allow their children to actually do that. So I don't know, have you approached the school?
yes,
Yeah.
we've actually sent emails talking to the admins of schools, and we've also had kind of like our the transportation planner at the city, they're also reaching out to schools to talk about this project.
Okay. because I think you really need to talk to the parents of those students as well. Because without some kind of alleviation of that heavy traffic flow, it's going to be hard to put any more use within that road. Like outside of those periods of time, yeah, that you can probably do something, but you really need to look at how that road's being used. And that central turn lane is incredibly important to the people who live in the area, because I leave to go to work at the same time that the students are being shuffled in to the school. So getting out of my street is incredibly hard because the parents tend to block the street. And so I need to find a way of getting past those cars and turning left. And with more traffic coming across, without that middle lane for me to turn into, I'm going to be either blocking the traffic going that way, i.e., my vehicle will be here, the traffic will be trying to go that way. Because there's no middle lane for me to turn into, I'm going to need to wait for the traffic that's coming through to be able to pull out. Now, in the mornings, that traffic's pretty constant. So taking away that middle lane, I don't think it's going to work.
Oh, okay. I really understand like your experience now, because before like I didn't know like we knew like the center turn lane was kind of like a lot of people wouldn't want that to be taken out, but we didn't really know like that but then when we were looking at the streets, like the amount of people using it, like when we were looking, wasn't like as much as you were kind of describing it. But then now that we're hearing kind of like your experience, we think that that should be something we should definitely consider when we're kind of revising our time. Thank you.
Well, I seriously think you need to take a look at it while the schools are going in and out, because the number of, I don't know about yourselves, do your parents drop you off at school?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How far away from the school do you live?
I
Um,
live very far.
for
I'm
my,
sorry.
Oh, I live very far.
Okay.
I live about like if we're walking about like 25 to 35 minutes away.
Which is a decent cycle. Like, Stephanie, you could probably cycle to work, or sorry, cycle to school relatively easily.
Yeah, so I would want to cycle to school, but the roads like in my area, they don't really have a bicycle lane. They are a shared lane with the cars, and my parents don't really want me cycling past that because traffic kind of goes by pretty fast.
Yeah. And I appreciate that position. But if you're going to put the cycle lane in, we need to work out how the parents are going to react to that. Are they going to allow you to cycle to school, or are they going to be worried about something else, like your safety in some other way, and then not allow you to cycle? So they set up the cycleway, but your parents still want to be able to drop you off. For Wayland, that's a different story altogether.
Yeah.
They say if you live a long way from the school, then yeah, I can see that's a bit of a problem. Um, there are other ways around it though. They say you could take a bus to school.